Hey guys, Ryan here at Signature Edits, and thank you so much for purchasing your new photography guide. Inside of this video, I'm going to show you how to edit and create your new guidebook PDF from start to finish. Now today, I'm going to be editing the wedding photography version of this guide, but whether you bought the family version or the newborn version or our engagement style book, it's all going to be the same exact process for actually creating your template. So hang in there with me. I'm just going to be using wedding examples for the sake of this tutorial. So in front of me, I have our Photoshop document. Go ahead and open that up. If you haven't yet installed the fonts, that's the first thing you're going to want to do. There are two fonts needed for this template. One is Charter and the other is Gill Sans. The links to download those for free are included in the PDF that came with this guide. Okay, so open that up, install the fonts. If you need help, just search on YouTube for a specific tutorial for your computer system, whatever you're using. That's easier than me trying to explain because it will depend on what computer you're on. Once that is finished, you can open up this guide and get yourself ready to edit. So I'm going to start off here by just organizing our window and our workspace and then explaining how the template works and some good steps to creating your guidebook. First things first, I'm using the Essentials workspace. We can reset our workspace to its default view so that you get exactly what I'm working with, and then we're just going to close the tabs we don't need. So I don't need this Learn tab, so I'll just right-click and close. And I don't need Libraries, so I'll right-click and close. Perfect, that looks pretty good. Now on my right here, I have all of my pages organized into groups, and each of these groups has all of the layers for each page. So you can see this front page here. We've got a text layer, and then an underline, and another text layer. Now we can show and hide layers by hitting these eyeball icons on the left of each layer. We can collapse and expand folders by hitting these little arrow icons to the left of the folders. And we can hide pages by hitting these eyeball icons to the left of each folder. Now you can see that as I hit the eyeballs, it will reveal the page underneath. So in order to see page 2 of the guide, I first have to hide page 1. If I want to see page 3, I then have to hide page 2 as well. So hopefully that makes sense. It can be a little confusing at first, but you just have to think of it like a stack of paper, and you're taking a piece of paper off of the stack, and that reveals the page that is underneath. Okay, so that's how the guide is organized. Now, let me show you exactly how we insert images and edit our guide. First off, I would recommend that you grab some photos in advance and organize these photos that you want to have in the guidebook, because it's going to speed up your editing process and creation process a lot if you just do this ahead of time rather than every single step of the way looking for new images. One thing that I would kind of suggest while you're gathering those images is to go for photos with a similar edit and feel. So you'll see here that in my kind of pre-made collection, I've got mostly warmer edits with warm tones or black and white. So I'm aiming for more kind of earthy, warm tones, and photos that kind of work together and have similar edits are just going to make the guide feel a lot more cohesive than if you have different editing styles across multiple photos. So go ahead, grab yourself some images. I think for this guide you need somewhere around 40 to 50, but you don't need to use that many. If you don't have that many great photos and you just want to show off the very best, you can feel free to delete image placeholders out of here. That's totally fine. So just organize your photos ahead of time, get them off to the right or wherever you need to, and then we'll start editing. So I'm going to start off by making a copy of this guidebook, because whatever changes I make, I always want to have access to my original template. So I'm going to hit Shift Command S or File Save As, and we're going to call this Ryan's Guide. Okay, save that. Now, as I make changes to this guide, I don't have to worry about losing any of those changes or, messing anything up. So now I'm going to delete everything I don't need off the top here, and we have page 1 in front of us. So I'm going to open up page 1, and you can see here we have all of the layers for the pages. To edit text, we just double-click in this little box here. So double-click, and then we can put in Ryan's Photography. Great. And then click off of this page, and that will kind of get rid of that little selection, and then we can select our next layer. If you want to change the color of something, so for example, we have our underline here, which we can show and hide by hitting this eyeball icon. To change the color, double-click, and go to Color Overlay. Just make sure to turn that on, and then select whatever color that you want to change that to. So we can make it purple if we really wanted. There we go. Okay, next we're going to edit this text down here. Double-click, and let's say I do Bat Mitzvah Photography for fun and excitement. Bad spelling, but you get my point. All we are doing is editing our text, and we can drag and move layers around simply by clicking off of the text once we've finished editing it. So click off the page, and then you can click and drag your layers around and move them. Now, if you're having trouble doing this, just make sure you're using the Move tool and that the Move tool is selected. Otherwise, you won't be able to move the layer. So you can do that by hitting V or hitting this little arrow icon in the top left of Photoshop. Okay, now I'm just covering these basics really quickly. If you already know this, good, that's great. I'm going to explain the rest really shortly. Just hang in there with me. To insert images, it's really as simple as finding anywhere there is a black box that says double click to add your image. You double click, and it opens up the image in this new tab. Now we're going to grab whatever image we want on our cover. Let's look for one, let's say this one. Drag it over into the Photoshop document, and you can see we have these little dots around the outline of the image. Well, we can click those and hold to resize. Now, depending what version of Photoshop you're using, you might find that as you click and resize, it's actually doing this, and it's warping it. So hold Shift, and that will keep it from doing that. Now, on newer versions of Photoshop, they actually inverted that keyboard shortcut. So new versions, you don't have to hold Shift. Old versions, you do. Okay. Once you've got it resized properly, just hit Enter, and then we're going to hit Save, Command S or Control S on a PC, or just File Save, and then close this tab. And you'll see our image has been added to the guidebook. Okay, let's move on to page number 2. It's going to be more or less the same process throughout this entire thing. We just double click, find the image we want to insert, resize. Once we have it resized the way that we like, hit Enter, and then Command S or Control S or File Save, close that tab, and now it's here. Now with this particular page, we want to be able to read the text on top of the image, so I'm going to actually double click to the right of this layer. That will pull up this Effect Layer Style panel, and then we're going to click Color Overlay, select a color, let's go with just a dark gray, and then adjust the opacity so that our photo is still showing through, but we can read the text. Now if you like, you can try experimenting. Let's go with blend mode, set that to multiply, and that will kind of preserve the contrast while darkening things down for us. Somewhere around there looks all right to me. Okay. Now if for whatever reason you ever want to change the image, let's say this one just isn't working for me, I double click here and it will open up that image again. We can insert whatever new image we like so. Resize, move it around, enter, save, close it, and we switch that image out. Now everything in this guide is editable, so you can change the color of anything in here. We've got our swishes. We can change those colors really easily. Just double click to the right of the layer's name, select Color Overlay, and select whatever color you want that swish to be changed to. Okay, same goes for the text, although with the text you're not going to double click. You can simply highlight the text layer by clicking on it, and then up here where it says character, you can change the color just like that. Okay, so you can see everything in this guide is totally customizable. You can adjust it as you like. We'll just go through here, edit a few more pages for you, but I'm sure you're already getting it. So I'm going to skip ahead in a few seconds here to the export process and show you how to create a PDF for print or for sharing on web. So I'm going to hit Command S. If you're wondering what these blue lines are for, they're just guidelines that you can move around. So if you want to see what the center of the image is, you can set that in the center. So they can kind of help you with your framing, or you can get rid of them by going up to View and then Clear Guides. Okay, save that. Let's move on, see if there's any other pages that might need some special help. So we've got all of our layers here. It's going to be edited exactly the same way. So we'll go in, add whatever text we like. Perfect. That works for me. Now, let's say that I wanted to have two of the same page. I wanted to add a page. Let's say I wanted to double this page. All I would do is just right-click on the group, but to the right where the name is, and we're going to look for the copy option. But, of course, that's not actually there. So we're going to select Duplicate Group. And then we're going to enter a name, Ryan's Extra Page. And you can see we've got our page here. But there's one thing you need to watch out for, and that is this. When I actually edit Ryan's Extra Page, and I insert an image in here, you're going to see that it's actually linked to the page that I duplicated it from. So how do I insert different images in these duplicated pages? It's pretty simple. All we have to do is unlink those layers by going down to the image, right-clicking, select Rasterize Layer, and then right-click again and select Convert to Smart Object. Now these layers will be unlinked when we insert our images. So we'll do the same thing, double-click, insert a photo. That looks good. So here's Ryan's extra page, and perfect, About Me. Different images at the top, no longer linked, we're good to go. Okay, so that's how you duplicate pages. Entering the images in here is all pretty straightforward. Changing the color of the text, again, straightforward. So we pretty much covered everything, I think. If you have extra questions, make sure to leave them in the description of this video, and I'll try and get back to you as quickly as possible, or reach out to us wherever you happen to buy this template. Now, let's move on into the actual creation of your PDF. So I'm going to close this and open up a guide that I've already gone through and completed ahead of time just to show you this process. So I'm going to not save this. I'm going to open my pre-made one. Expand this panel here. Now, to create our PDF, the process is going to be the same regardless of whether you're using it for email or for print. The only difference is going to be the ending size of your kind of JPEGs in your PDF. So we're going to right-click on each of these groups, and we're going to select Merge Group, and that's going to create a flattened version of each of these folders, and then we'll be able to batch export them as JPEGs, and then put those into a PDF. It's easier than it sounds. So I'm going to start by deleting these extra layers I don't need. And then I'm going to save a copy of this. So we're going to call this Ryan's Guide Unflattened. Or actually, we'll call it Ryan's Guide Export. And the reason I'm doing this is because if I flatten these, then I save my guide, I won't be able to go back to the individual layers afterwards. You're going to lose all of these changes. If you ever want to go back and adjust something else, it'll be impossible. So you need to make sure you save this and don't save over your changes. So we're going to save that. Perfect. And then I'm going to right-click on each of these groups and select Merge Group. I'm going to go down one at a time. And once that's done, we're going to select all of these layers by clicking on the first page, scrolling down and holding Shift, then hit page 20. That will select all of these layers. Now we're going to go up to File, Export, and scroll down here to Layers to Files. Now, if you have a different version of Photoshop from me, this might be somewhere else. It might actually be in the Automate section or somewhere else in this folder. So depending on your Photoshop, if you don't find it here, just look up where it is and you'll be able to track that down, okay? So now select Layers to Files. We're going to select a destination, so I'll just make a folder on my desktop, Ryan's Guide Exports. Perfect. Then I'm going to hit Run. Now you can select JPEG options and make the quality lower if you want to compress it a bit, but we're going to do that at a different step, so I'm not going to worry about that right now. So I'll hit Run, and you'll see that Photoshop is going through one at a time and saving each of these as a JPEG. Great, that's all finished, so now I can close this guide. Don't need to save that. And we're going to go up to File, Automate, PDF Presentation. Now, if you're using this guide for print, this is all you're going to do. You're going to create your finished PDF, and this will be with the highest quality JPEGs possible, and then you'll be able to send that off to your printer. If you're using this for web, however, before we actually create this PDF presentation, we're first going to want to resize our images so that they're more web-friendly. So, in order to do that, we go over to Finder, open up our images on the desktop. Now, if you're on a Mac, this is super easy. We just select all of them, double-click, and they open up in Preview. Select them all again by hitting Command-A. Go up to Tools, Adjust Size, and our height we can set to 1080. That'll be a perfect height because no one's going to open it on a computer that really needs higher than that. Now, you can experiment with different sizes if you like, but I think that's going to be fine for us. You can see as we zoom in, still looks great, but it's going to be way smaller. So you can see these images right now are 3.4 megabytes, 2.2 megabytes, quite large. Now let's save and see as they're updated. Close this. And you'll see preview is going through and resized, and we've probably made them about 80% smaller. Now that's great. We can still make them a little bit smaller by going over to imagecompressor.com. So I'm going to open up a new tab here. Upload files, navigate to those files, and open them all. Then hit Open. It will compress them and make them smaller. So you can see 77% smaller, 76%. That's awesome. Now, one thing we're going to want to make sure we do is zoom in on the text to see the difference in quality before and after. So you can see our text isn't as sharp, so I probably don't want to take it that far. I'm going to maybe set it to 95% quality. I still want my text to be nice and sharp. So only 37% savings, but I'm okay with that. I don't really notice much of a difference in quality, so I'm going to hit apply. And of course, I should have been holding all of these down as I made those adjustments. But we could go through here and make sure they're all set to 95. Once that's done, we're going to hit download all, and that will download our small files, and then we can open it up in Photoshop. Now, if you have a Windows machine and you don't have preview to resize, you can just look up online image resizer. And there are lots of free options available online. So we could go over openresizeimage.net, upload our photos, and do the exact same thing. Just set them to a height of 1080p for a start, see how that looks, and go from there. Once you have your smaller images, you'll be able to open up your PDF and make it far more efficient and email friendly. Okay, with all of that out of the way, here's how you actually create the PDF in Photoshop. Go up to File, Automate, PDF Presentation. We're going to click Browse, navigate to where those files are. So we'll just go with these ones for now. Hit Open, and then we're going to click Save. Give it a name. I'm going to put it inside of this folder to keep things sort of organized. And now in front of us, we can select our options for compression. So if you're exporting this for print, you're going to just leave this as no compression, high quality print. Now, if you're using this for web, you could set it to smallest file size, and that will make the smallest possible PDF for you. The only problem is that I've found in general, Photoshop tends to make these files pretty kind of muddy and not crystal clear for text. So we're going to want to find a kind of compromise by going to compression and just dialing in our own settings. So image quality, I'm going to set that to either medium or high. Let's try medium and just see how that works. And then our bicubic downsampling, we can set to 72 pixels per inch, because for web, we don't need higher than that. Okay, that's looking all right. And that format we can leave alone, so I'll just hit Save PDF. You'll see that Photoshop is going to go through and combine all of these images together for our finished PDF. Now, I might have actually done them in reverse order, but we'll see here in a second. Okay, so here's our finished guide. You can see the PDF is 2 megabytes, so that's perfect for email. However, you might find that the text is just not quite sharp enough for you. I think in my case, this is looking all right. I'm okay with it. But if you wanted to, you could go back into Photoshop and just sort of play with the different compression settings to find the best compromise of size and kind of display. So it's really a bit of an art form in going back and forth in Photoshop to find the best kind of situation for you and for your specific template. Okay, so that looks pretty good to me. Now you might be wondering why this is showing up 1 page at a time rather than 2 pages. And the answer is it just depends on the program you open it with. So Preview sometimes will actually open with 2 pages wide, and sometimes it will open with 1 page wide. So for example, if I switch to full page view, hello, now it's going to be opening 2 pages at a time. Unfortunately, because this is a PDF, you can't control the way that a application opens a PDF. It's just going to display either 1 page at a time or 2. There's not much you can do about it unless you're using a program online like issue.com. So you can look into that if you want to set up an account there. You can actually upload your magazines and then it will display them in more of a magazine format. So you can use that, or you can just send your clients a PDF. Personally, I use the PDF. I find that works great for me. And the way that I like to do that is I'll upload it to Google Drive, and then that way I don't have to upload it every single time I do an email. I simply attach it via Google Drive, and it's just a quick link. They take that link and get sent to the PDF document. So that does it for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful for you, and I can't wait to see you use this guide. We put a lot of work into it and try to make it as easy to edit as possible. If you have questions, make sure to reach out. And if you're interested in building your business and continuing to grow your brand, make sure to head over to the shop and have a look at all of the different resources that we have available to you, including our photography marketing membership, which gives you access to absolutely all of our templates, training, and tools. Thank you so much for your purchase, and all the best to you and your business. Take care.